So apparently, us over here at Bad Guy Inc. aren't the only ones that thought Hooker versus Tony Ferguson was a good idea. I saw BloodyElbow.com had done a piece on this. It just came out. I know I just talked to you guys about this, but this took a coffee break and this just came out. But I got to tell you, Dan Hooker's coach weighed in and he said, look, here's what's going on. Hooker's been out a little bit. He was, from his last fight, he's been out. He is back in the room. We love the fight, but boy, if we had another month, that would sure be great. He said, if I was to tell you what Dan's going to say, I'm probably going to have to talk him out of it. I'm quite sure my athlete, Dan Hooker, is going to jump at the chance. There's a lot on that. That is very real. I mean, if you're not in training and you're not ready and you have a good reason to be, normally that's something that would annoy us. Well, why were you not ready? You only have to do this 3 times a year. It's kind of your job to be ready. Well, there's a little bit more to it. When you went through the battle that Hooker went through and you were dealing with some of the healing process, that's totally different than a guy being out at the club and partying and has got his eye off the ball. It's totally different, in all fairness. So I wouldn't judge anybody for saying no. In fact, let me reword that because I absolutely would. I would not judge Dan Hooker for saying no to a short notice match. I will just speak to you on the concept of doing things on short notice generally works out better. Logic says otherwise. I understand. History agrees with me. There have been more guys who have stepped in on short notice and had a clear mind. And while they weren't able to check all of the boxes, did I run this much? Did I spar this much? Some of the things that are discipline that you do need for self-confidence, while you can't always check those boxes, there's also something very real about paralysis by analysis. If you know you have to do something and you know you have to do it against somebody else and you sit around and study and you prepare, you go through camp, you prepare, there's very positive things that come from that. One of the negatives is that you are focused so much on what you are going to do to them or adversely, what you're going to avoid them doing to you, that you end up freezing up. Even if it's a little bit, you end up freezing up. And so many times I have seen athletes that just come with a clear head. Their head is clear. They're not thinking up, down, or sideways. To offer you just a very recent example would be Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje just fought Tony Ferguson. He was supposed to lose. He was at 2.5 to 1 underdog. And I will tell you, I don't know that I believe that Justin Gaethje wasn't the most surprised room in the building that night when he won. Not only when he won the fight, when he won the belt, when he won every single round, I don't think there was anybody more surprised than Justin. Justin's been a lifelong competitor. He knows what it takes. He knows what he has always done. He is prepared the same, whether it's for wrestling matches, big tournament, side tournament, professional sports, big fight, world title fight. He knows what it takes. He didn't do any of those things. So it'd be very reasonable that he believes, okay, I've got an opportunity here and maybe there's a cash grab and this is what I do and I'm going to say yes. He looked genuinely surprised. He looked as though he was gaining momentum in that fight. I offer you that example because it's a very recent example, but I could go on. Guys that take matches on very short notice or did not know they were going in. How many times have we seen this in the world of football? Just to offer you an example. The starting quarterback gets sacked. He gets hurt. Second string comes in. Hasn't been in all year. A guy hasn't been in all year. Do you think he had any idea that he was going to be going in? Well, he's in a level of shape. He's in a level of fitness. He's got the right outfit on. He's in. And all of a sudden he has some record-breaking game. But we see this all the time. We see backup hitters step in all the time and go knock it out of the park. It's just a very real thing. I don't suggest for you for sure that Dan is going to have a better performance. I just am arguing the other side of it, that I don't know that his performance would be any worse. There is something very real. And they're very hard to do at the same time. It's very hard to have your physical body ready to go and have your mind in check. It's a lot easier to have your mind in check when your physical body isn't ready to go. It's one of those things. In large part, it's why people come out of retirement, because physically they aren't doing it. They aren't being defeated day in and day out on some level because they're pushing themselves to that point. They're not, which makes their mind believe that they're a lot better than they are. I mean, just in all fairness, it's just very hard to do both at the same time. And generally, the only way you can ever have a clear head is to take something on short notice that you didn't know about. I'm not trying to encourage Dan one way or the other. I'm just making a commentary on the point that I think we did line up a good match there. I'm proving that by the fact that his coach, Dan's coach, is now being weighed in. And I think that there is maybe a lesson to be taken. Whoever Tony's next opponent is, whoever that opponent is, if that fight stays on track, and I believe that it will, whoever that is going to be in there on short notice. They're all going to be up against the same spot as Dan Hooker. Whether Dan was out for his reasons, which is I had a really hard fight and there's a protocol involved and I needed to be out, or it's just somebody that had their eye off the ball, or it was somebody that just didn't know they were going to get the opportunity. Whatever it is, set that aside. That can be one of whatever reason. The fact that they're going to be fighting Tony Ferguson on short notice is going to be a very real thing. And there's two sides to the coin. And if you look at Tony's very last match, the narrative coming out after that match was that Tony was worn down, that Tony should not have weighed in twice, that Tony went through too long of a training camp. Okay, then what in the hell's the right answer? One guy who's training all the time and he's ready because Tony, according to you, Tony was worn down. You want a guy who was fresh like Justin Gaethje. I don't know the right answer. I'm just reminding you they don't go hand in hand. You can't have both at the same time.